Today, I really want to talk about something it's a little depressing, but it needs to be talked about because it's one of the main things that's stopping you from getting where you want to be in life. And it's one of the main things that's getting in the way of your productivity, getting in the way of you reaching your ideal identity. And we just got to talk about it and we got to get it out of the way. What I've realized about ADHD is that it is a little depressing in the sense that you tend to be so full of good ideas that you can fall into this trap of basically never actualizing. Or you wind up being put on a path and you just stay on that path because it's the thing that makes the most sense. And that's basically the only reason you actualize is like if you're in school or something, right? And this may not be what you want. You may just be going with the flow because you don't really know what to do. Or you may be working at a job just because you don't really know what to do. Like, you know this isn't what you want, but you just have all these ideas of what you're going to do, and then nothing actually happens, and it's like, well, why does nothing happen? Well, it's because you change too rapidly. And then ADHD also comes with poor memory, and so you forget rapidly. So you're in this constant process, like out transforming yourself, where it's like you see a new thing and it's like, yes, yes, new thing. It's awesome. Like, this is who I am. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to be. And then a few days later, it's like you're someone else and you're doing that towards something else. You don't even remember losing all these versions of yourself. You might remember like these little phases you had and you may see them as that, but it's like, think of all the people you could have been by now if you had just stuck with one thing and just had enough focus to stay with one path in life. It's sad. Like, you stop and think about it and it's sad. And it's like, you might have known this. You might know this sort of internally. You might have had this knocking around. I know I did. Just knowing it isn't enough. Like, the fact of the matter is your brain is not helping you here. It's not, and it won't. Just telling yourself like, oh, I'm going to focus on one thing isn't really good enough. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, I'm speaking from experience. It just doesn't work. You find a new shiny object. You start chasing something else. You see something else that's cool, and you want to become that. And you start to become that. And you always abandon it. You always abandon everything. The grass is always greener somewhere else, but it's your job to make the grass green where you are. And if you keep moving, you will never have green grass. You will always just be finding some new dead grass that somebody's telling you can be green, really, really cheap and easy. Just put in a few months, just put in a year or two, and you'll be good, bro. You're not going to stay there for long enough to make it green. The way that dreams and ideas become reality is through an individual basically ruminating on it, thinking about it, and holding it for an extended period of time. And, as someone with ADHD, there's probably things that you have that have stayed with you for a really long time, like hobbies or certain things you really enjoy. And, you might even have a ton of these in reality. It's just that like there's so much else around, and the internet makes it so much worse. It's like you have access to just so much information where you're constantly going to be distracted and you're going to go after different things and you're going to have different things, and you might have these core things that live in you, but it's not enough to keep you fully stable, right? Because the internet's right there. It's in your hand. It's literally in your hand. Nothing gets done because the way that something manifests into reality is somebody thinking about it and taking action towards it for an extended period of time. That is how things get done. That is how things get created. That's the process. And if that process is crippled, because ADHD is a mental disability, like you have a mental handicap, your executive dysfunction. I know we don't like to think that. We don't like to think that, but it's true. And it's true in a lot of ways. And this is one of the ways where you can seem like you have so much potential, but you just never go anywhere. You just never go anywhere. And this is why. It's because you can't stay still long enough for one idea to get all the glory and explode and actually manifest into reality, right? or one identity. I don't know how often I'm like, want to be a different person. And then like the next day I want to be a different person. The next day I want to be a different person. I'm always looking for like a new way to be. It's crazy. Or it's like I just see something, I'm like, ooh, I want to imitate that. Ooh, I want to imitate that. Ooh, I want to imitate that. And it's like, there's no stability. And this is why your life hasn't yielded as much fruit as you want it to yield. Because you can't sit still long enough. And fruit, growing a tree that makes fruit, all the roots have to grow. And the roots, I love this analogy of the roots because when things are growing, they're mostly growing underground. Like you only see the good part, the shiny part, but the reality is that most of the energy was spent growing roots underground in the dark, in the filth, and it just like that's where all the growth happens, and you never see it, and it's quiet and it's lonely. There's nobody there talking to you, and you just have to do that for long enough until you actually make something real, and it just takes a long time. It's like you just build success brick by brick, but like what you wind up doing is you build houses brick by brick, and then you get like halfway up, and then you leave the house, and you start building another one because you had a different idea for a different house, and you're like, oh, this one's so much cooler. I got to do this, you know? And this just keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And all of a sudden you just have like this village of half-built houses that gets like swept away easily in a flood. This is a problem. Like, this is a serious problem. You can't actualize into a person. You can't. And if you let this be a problem. But you have a choice right now where you can do something about this. And I already told you that just making it up in your mind, like, oh, I'm just going to do one thing, isn't really good enough. It's like just saying that isn't good enough. The only way that you are actually going to actualize into a person is you have to create a system that is harder for you to leave than it is to just keep going. I'm going to give you an example. This channel is that system for me. Because, one, I care. Like, I really care about this topic. Because obviously, I have ADHD, and for the longest time in my life, I didn't even realize how much it affected me. I just thought of myself as a normal person, even though I knew I was diagnosed. And I was just like, oh, I guess I'm inattentive. Wondering why it seems like no matter how hard I tried, don't go anywhere for the longest time. And so this led me on this whole journey of like questioning, like, what the hell is wrong? Like, what do I do? Like, why does nothing work? And then I found out it's because I have ADHD. And then when I started working with ADHD in mind, it's like, oh, damn. Okay, now everything's working a little better. It's not perfect, but it's working a little better. So that's one thing, is like I really, like, deeply, genuinely care so much about the topic that I'm speaking on right now. Where it's like, this is something that's deep in my heart, right? And so I'm not going to forget about it. And this is like the only thing that you won't forget about. It are things that truly, deeply, deeply matter to you. The type of things that you hold on to for years. And if that wasn't enough, I actually have to keep posting content. Because if I miss out on a few days, I basically lose all of my progress. It's like a streak. I have to keep it going. And I've already lost all of my progress a few times. There are some videos where I was like super hyped to put them out, and they got almost no views. And the reason why is because I waited too many days. And in fact, this video is coming out late. It may not get any views. That's fine. Like, you have to keep getting back on the horse. You have to. This whole like streak thing means that I have to keep going. On top of that, I'm pretty blessed here because I realize that this thing for me is also self-sustaining, where it's like a cyclical loop. Like, the more productive I become, the better I get at this thing, right? And so I have that advantage, and you may not have that advantage. But looking for ways where you can make, a good system, the output becomes the next input, right? And so trying to design your life in that way. An example is, maybe if you code, like maybe if you're a developer, if you're getting into development, maybe make it so that you code stuff that makes it harder for you to stop coding, right? where it's like you switch to a different operating system that's hard to use and you have to be really technical to use it. And then you like have to code things that like make you, and this is what I'm going to be working on going forward, is I've already made one of these systems that I had on my door where basically reminds me of like who I'm supposed to be for the week. And I tied this to these whiteboard dice that I had. It was like a slider where it's like, it shows me like, am I being chill today or am I doing a productive sprint day? And I would always find myself like inching back into a sprint because I'm more on the workaholic side of the spectrum now, which I got to make a video about that, about how there's like two modals of productivity archetypes. You have to create things around you that remind you of who you're supposed to be. And you have to be willing to just sacrifice, and you have to grieve. You have to grieve all these things because of how your brain works, you just have to make a ton of sacrifice. And I'm sorry, it sucks. It's the curse of ADHD. But if you make these sacrifices, then when you succeed, you'll still have this brain, right? Like you'll still have this brain that has all these great ideas. You'll still have this brain that sees all this value in everything. And that's valuable. The world needs this. The world needs you to make enough sacrifice to actually get to the top, and then use all of this at that level where you have more power. Like, if you have this type of brain, you need to gain power. You need power. And the world needs you to have power, because there are things going on in your head that you could share with the world that would be insane if you just had a means of doing them. If you had like an executive team to work on it for you, so you don't have to pour so much time and effort in. And so you don't have to work on it until you forget. And then just don't go back to it, and it was a waste of time. So the main thing that you can do to avoid this is just get something deeply ingrained into your heart. And then like get emotional about it often, and like meditate on it often, and create reminders often. And the reminders, they stop working. The reminders stop working. The sticky notes stop working after a few days. So just keep making them. And just keep doing it, like different reminders, like literally flood and saturate yourself in the identity that you've decided on of who you want to be. And you're going to forget to do this. That's the scary part, is you're going to forget to do this. But those reminders, if you basically have them like literally everywhere, that's creating a system where it's harder for you to leave than it is for you to stay and keep going. Because it's like you go into your living room and there's like a flyer that you printed out that's like a little poster like reminding you of who you're supposed to be. I have these next to my desk. Not anymore. I'm moving right now. I took them down. But I had like these posters that literally remind me that like you're making a business right now. Like that's what you're doing. And I had to have that. And now that I'm so deeply ingrained, now I'm not losing traction. Like now I'm actually just gaining more and more traction, and I'm getting more and more ingrained. But I had to get to the point where it was harder to leave than it was to keep going. And so that's what you need to do too. You need to pass through this wall, and you need to create systems intentionally often, and you're going to forget, but when you remember, you have to just do it, where they remind you of who you are and who you're supposed to be. And if you do this, you will grow in power, and then the world will actually get to see this beautiful mind that you have. So there is hope. You can do this. We're in this together. That's all. Like, subscribe if you want. Thank you so much for watching till the end. It helps a ton. Peace.